Another way to approach the beautiful season of Advent is to see it as a season in two halves, two unequal halves. The first half really is the first 3 weeks of Advent, particularly the first 3 Sundays. And then the second half will be from December the 17th to the 24th. It's a season of preparation. Now on the high street there's been preparations for Christmas. The first Christmas party I saw advertised was back in August. But there's little or no mention of Christmas in the first part of Advent, the season of Advent. We're talking about preparation, watchfulness, preparedness, particularly for the second coming and also for the coming of Christ into our lives today. The more immediate preparation for Christmas and the intense preparation for the celebration of the incarnation of the Lord comes from the 17th to the 24th of December. More about that another time. But this first section or first part of Advent, we looked at the first Sunday of Advent where the theme is mainly one of watchfulness and being prepared for the second coming. That theme continues in the second Sunday. But a key figure on the second and the third Sunday of Advent is John the Baptist. And this year in Year A, Matthew's Gospel, we have the beginning of John's public ministry. Now John is a fascinating character. He appears at the beginning of all the Gospels. But in the presentation we have from Matthew, we have the beginning of his public ministry. And where is his address? His address is care of the wilderness. He's out in the desert. And that theme of wilderness and desert is so important to the people of Israel. It was in the desert, in the wilderness, that they were formed as God's people. And John is forming them, preparing them for the coming of the Messiah. So his address is the wilderness, but he's very questionable in terms of his diet and also his clothing. He's described as wearing camel skin and a leather belt. It's the classic prophet's appearance, the appearance of another Elijah. His diet, locusts and wild honey. Remember, Jesus had table fellowship with many people. You never hear of anybody going to eat with John the Baptist, maybe because of his diet. But anyway, the main thing is that he is preparing people for the coming of the Lord. In the third Sunday of Advent, often known as Gaudete Sunday, the key theme is rejoicing. Rejoice in the Lord. And we have a beautiful reading from Isaiah which depicts a vision of a world united and a world of healing. Many disabilities are healed, the blind, the sick, the lame. And also we have a vision of the cosmos, the environment renewed, the streams gushing forth. John appears again in the Gospel of Matthew on the third Sunday, and this time it's from a later period of his life when he's in prison, and he sends his disciples to ask Jesus, are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another? And it seems as if John is struggling, as perhaps we all struggle at times, with the image that Jesus presents of a God of mercy and compassion. Whereas John had spoken in his preaching of the chaff being burnt, the image that Jesus presents is one of a God of mercy. Who is the God that we are waiting for? Who is the God that we relate to? Who is the God that we preach by the witness of our lives? One final point is just to look at the readings that occur from the Old Testament, from the Hebrew Bible, throughout this first part of Advent. Many of them are taken from the prophet Isaiah. And the early Christian community saw Isaiah as the prophet of the Messiah. Saint Jerome said of Isaiah that he wasn't just a prophet, he was an evangelist, a bringer of good news. So one way of preparing well in this first part of Advent is to listen to those readings from the prophet Isaiah and see what they have to say to you. What hope do they hold out to you?
You did that in one go.
I did that in one go.
Right.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, all right.
You smashed it. I thought you'd have to stop again like you little sheep. You didn't even do that this time.
No, I didn't